In this video we're going to take a look at some of the greatest flanking routes in Battlefield 5. These tactics will help you gain more kills and cap more objectives on multiple different game modes and multiple different maps, and in some cases they'll provide you with the perfect opportunity for a top play clip. A special shout out goes to Maxik, and the links for his YouTube channel and Twitter profile can be found in the description below. He's a fantastic streamer and content creator with some superb skills, and if of course you haven't already noticed, I'm using a selection of clips that he has sent in for this very video. He is playing on console, so for those that play on PC, remember this might be slightly different, but the flanking routes are exactly the same. It's just the way the players react and the way you might have to be slightly quicker because of the nature of PC gameplay that will change, but for the most part it should be fairly similar. Starting out with flank 1, we're going to take a look at Devastation, and this flank works for any mode. You're inside the cathedral, you can run up the ramp on this little side of Bravo if you're playing Operations, or Charlie if you're playing Conquest, hop over the wall and make your way round to these, hopefully unsuspecting enemies camping on the side. In this case, Maxik has found himself a whole load of them, and he completely destroys them making use of the Suomi, and to be honest, this is not only a good flank, but a good opportunity to see how stupid some Battlefield players are, as he completely wrecks all of them, racking up a whole load of score, and unfortunately not capping the flag as his team failed to capitalise on the situation. Watching it again without any enemies, here you're running through the cathedral on the right hand side, you spot this ledge on the side here, which you can also use to hide behind in some cases. You jump up, you jump over, and there you go. Almost immediately, even in the clip without enemies to kill, he's almost found a couple to take out anyway. You can also use it to escape and go around the other side of Charlie, but its main use is to get around here on a nice flank. Next up, another Devastation flank. This one is specific to Breakthrough. Looking at flank 2 now as he runs up towards Bravo, and it's a very simple one. Very good as well for taking out campers if there's a bit of a stalemate on Bravo objective, and you'll see a lot of good players doing this. It's a very easy way to get some nice simple kills, making use of this throwing knife as well. Again, very strong because it doesn't give you away. Now here's how to do it. You're on Echo, you jump out of the window here, make your way across this canvas awning, sneak your way through. The reason you don't want to jump on the road is because it does make you a bit more visible to see. This is exactly what you want to be doing if there are camping enemies up here. Great as well if there are bipodders in these positions. It's a very popular bipodding spot, and you can run under those windows whilst you run across that awning, which can also trick them. Flank 3, we're looking at Rotterdam and Airborne. Make your way around the side of the building here, taking a look at the minimap as well. It shows you where the majority of his team is, and then this is great fun if you've got yourself a bipod, because once you've taken out the initial enemies, you can either bipod from the window or make your way down onto the ground like this, concealing yourself to some extent because it is difficult to spot enemies in Battlefield 5, and then take advantage of any enemies that don't really understand how aiming and shooting works. Now watching it without any enemies, you can spot right now we're actually on the bridge, quite a long way from the flank, but you can drop down into the water, you don't take full damage, and then swim your way round this way. It's quite an effective push because it's usually not very populated with enemies, but just for extra precaution you can go by the side of the boat, go underwater for the most part, and swim all the way around. To his left now you can spot 1 or 2 potential enemies. Don't really worry about it though. Don't ever break your concentration in this moment. There's no point in shooting one enemy on your way to the flank. You need to be as comfortable as possible surrounding yourself with enemy players, because that's when the big kills come. In this case there weren't a load of enemies here because his team have pretty much already capped Charlie, but you'd expect to see a lot more of them here if Charlie was completely occupied by the enemy team, as we saw in that first clip. Next up we've got flank 4, we're moving on to FJELL 652, and this works for any mode. You're on Delta objective and just shooting your way through enemy players. It's perfect, especially if you've got the snowstorm, because they just can't work out what's happening. But mostly what you'll notice is that he's shooting them all in the back because it's a very good flanking maneuver that's got him in this position. Very easy to clear a flank yourself, and as you make your way out of Delta objective, you'll pick up any stragglers before having to turn around and catch the ones that have just spawned in. Now, how do you do this, I hear you ask? Well, it's actually one of the more simple flanking routes, and as I mentioned before, it is for any mode, which is nice with a flanking route because it means you can use it on any game that you find yourself in. You don't have to wait for the correct game mode to rotate round before you can show it off. So here's how you do it. You can see he's between Charlie, Delta and Echo in these little mountain passes. You clamber up the rocks here. Now, I believe DICE did try to patch this at one point, but I tried it the other day and it still did work. So maybe it's a little difficult to do, but as of this video being made, it is possible to do it. And you drop yourself down. You could actually camp on the ledge here, and in this example, you can get yourself a few kills. So to be honest, whenever Delta is capped or being capped, this is the flank you want to be pulling off. It's probably the best way to cap Delta, especially if a couple of you do it. You can also drop smoke onto the objective and drop down to protect yourself from getting shot. Next, we're on flank 5, Rotterdam, and this works for any mode. Moving towards the Alpha objective on Conquest, or the Alpha objective in Grand Ops, you want to be finding yourself in a position where you're shooting people in the back once again. This works very well if you have a sniper rifle because of the range you'll be shooting people at. However, you could get a little closer and make use of an AR or an SMG. So, what you've seen so far is Maxeek shooting people in the face, then you've seen bipodders, and then you see him eventually get taken out. So how has he got himself in this position? Let's take a look.
7. Ah, dang.
Starting out on Alpha Bridge, he's capping the objective, so this is where you want to start out. Now you watch as he runs off the back of the flag. This is on Conquest, but it still does work for Grand Operations because the flags are pretty much in the same position. You drop off again, making use of this canal once more, as you can jump off the bridge and survive the fall. Drops onto the side here, checks there aren't any enemies behind him, kind of outflanking himself, and there you are, you're in the perfect position. Now the trick to make this one work is to drop into the water. Most people will start shooting from the bridge, which is no good because you can't see right underneath you. The perfect flank for Rotterdam. Next up, we've got flank 6. This is on ARRAS and is specific to breakthrough. A really good one because ARRAS is one of those maps that can often end in a stalemate, especially on breakthrough, seeming as though one team has to push across pretty much completely open ground. However, when they do get across that open ground, you're the ones trying to defend a very open objective, and it can often lead to a lot of spamming of grenades, bipodders and snipers that are no fun to defend against, unless you get yourself a nice flanking maneuver like this. You want a mid-range weapon. The Selbstlader 1916 is perfect due to the big mag and the power it can put down range, taking down multiple enemies. He does that, gets himself a load of kills, and he's not done yet. There are a few more to take down, and this flank goes on for as long as you want it to, until really an enemy gets wind of you being here on this right side, right at the edge of the map. You can see the dead zone here. He's got his teammates pushing with him as well, and it's just a great way to surround the enemy team and take them down. One thing I would be wary of though are enemies prone in the grass, because it is very difficult to spot them on these fields. So sometimes it might be worth thinking about how you can place a beacon as a player, or maybe control a position for your team to spawn first. Also, taking down vehicles like this is so valuable for your team before he eventually gets taken down. So how do you do this? How do you pull off a flank on a map such as ARRAS? Well, starting out is pretty simple. You want to be on the edge by Bravo objective. This is again on Conquest, but just apply it to the last mode we played. It's only on Conquest because of how difficult it is to get yourself an example clip on the mayhem that is breakthrough. So you run down the side of the map here, hugging the dead zone. It's pretty similar in Grand Operations as well. So you want to hug all the way around the side, make use of any of this tree line or bushes, long grass, anything that you can kind of hide behind is really useful. Sometimes you will find a tank out here. That's the biggest problem I've found with this flanking route, because tanks like to fight at range, and this is about as far away as you can get. But there you go. If you're shooting at range, this is where you want to be. You want to be on the side of the map, making use of any cover you can, and getting that flank on enemy players. Moving on to flank 7, we're looking at AERODROME, and we're looking at breakthrough. Starting out, you can tell we're on Alpha objective. We're trying to attack, trying to find all of these camping enemy players, and it's just perfect, isn't it? None of them really understand he's here. One or two might just about work out what he's trying to pull off, but they don't stop him. Even medics are reviving and just getting completely domed, and already a big kill streak with the sniper rifle. That's your clip, as easy as that. Not even shooting targets that are moving or shooting back. You're all shooting them while they're flanking. Yes, he's pulled off a very nice shot there, getting himself that final kill. So how do you do this? Again, we're going to take a look at it on Conquest because it's easier to see an example this way. You're running through this little dried up river here towards the aerodrome itself. Now this can be difficult because you've got enemies on the left and on the right in breakthrough, so you want to make sure that you have maybe got smokes with you. Again, a beacon if you think you're going to be running with a squad who'll spawn on you. All the way down the river, all the way virtually to the dead zone on those first sets of objectives, running across the top. And again, this is a difficult bit. You've got to get away from enemies running across, and you don't want to be shooting any because the minute you shoot them, they know you're here. All the way across, checking that there's no snipers in these little barrels and vehicles and all the stuff around here. There shouldn't be, but sometimes you do find them. This is where you're going to start finding enemies though as you make your way up the hill. Try and avoid that horrendous sun glare off the top, so you're moving to the left, and there you go, you're shooting enemies in the back. A very simple flank, but again, most people don't use it. Most people are quite happy to sit in oncoming fire and get shot in the face. A really good one, and this is one you should definitely be trying on Aerodrome Breakthrough, as it's one of the most difficult maps as an attacker to push into. Flank 8, we're moving on to NARVIK, and again this one is specific to Breakthrough. Bravo objective, you've seen it all in the top plays before. It's one of the most common flanking routes. It was in all of the early top plays episodes. Again, perfect for a throwing knife if you're killing one enemy at a time, but you could be doing this at the minute with a revolver if you wanted to, because they are just not shooting back until they eventually do, and he gets taken out by an MP40. But a great flanking route, and one that can be used not only on Breakthrough, but sometimes even on Conquest, although it's a little more specific to how the map's going and the game is going on Conquest. So how do you do it? Starting out, you want to be on the right hand side of the map by the water. Sometimes it is a good idea to get a beacon down halfway through this push, as you might be trying it multiple times and you don't want to rely on a spawn system to put you in the wrong place. Hug the water, even jump into the water if you think it might conceal you from the enemy players. Sometimes you might find that Easter egg whale down here as well, which is kind of nice to swim past. So you want to get all the way around, try and avoid any enemy contact, and if you see guys on your left here, maybe it's worth taking them down, but then you've given the game away, so you want to try and get all the way around the side here. Underwater, completely concealed from the enemy team. Once you get up on the other side, this is where you start killing people. You got to find the ladder on the wall, get your way to the top. Now there are two ladders to pick from. The second one is usually the best. Now the reason you want the second one is because there are a couple of hiding spots between the two ladders that enemies often take out. Now you want to make sure there's no one hiding behind. Sneak through, take up this part of the ladder, and there you go, you're on your flank. This is often a great spot to get your squad mates to spawn on you if you're not comfortable with taking down the team yourself, but there you go, that's how you get your clip on NARVIK. Moving on, Flank 9 Devastation Grand Operations. This one is great fun if you are rocking a Tommy gun with the big mag. However, you can do it with pretty much anything. It's alpha objective, and just check it out. It's CQB heaven for anybody that's looking for a kill streak, or just a bit of fun, to be honest, in the medic or assault class. You also get this infamous push onto the balcony where you can take down multiple enemy players without really too much effort at all, because they've usually put the sandbags up and they're trying to kill enemies beneath them, so they're not expecting a push from you. It also helps in this clip that some of the enemies are completely stupid, and it means that Maxi gets himself a load of kills that maybe you wouldn't get in a normal match and you get taken down, but nonetheless he racks up so many kills on these enemy players because of the flanking maneuver. If that wasn't enough, he's also included another little one on Alpha, again pushing towards the cathedral, making use of this balcony to kill all the campers. He's got teammates on him this time that are helping him out. Unfortunately, a squad mate does get taken down, and this is a point that you want to be paying attention to. You don't always have to revive your squad mates. Sometimes it is best to leave them. Reviving that squad mate might also mean that he dies too. So it's best for the squad mate to skip and then come back and spawn on him. That is quite often the better way to do things, because reviving in this game is not instant. Even when you're a medic, it can take a little bit of time. This is exactly what you want to see. Pushing towards Alpha, getting yourself a load of kills. And again, with this ammo box here, you're probably going to find yourself a big clump of enemies as they're resupplying. Easy kills all day long. So how do you do it, I hear you ask? Well, it's actually one of the more simple ones once again, and you'll find that a lot in Battlefield 5. Flanking is really easy, but no one ever does it. You're on this right hand side, you're pushing towards Alpha Objective, or on Conquest Delta would be on your right hand side, and here's the trick, you sneak through the side. The dead zone is very wide on Grand Operations, and you can go all the way around the side here. It's very rare to find any players here at all, especially considering it is a dead zone. No one's ever going to be considering players pushing through it, and there you go. You've already made your way round the majority of the enemy players to your left there. No point in engaging them unless you really want to. You want to go for the full flank. You keep on going round, and there you go. Flank 10, FJELL 652, works for any game mode. This is the last one we'll be looking at in this video. So you're on top of this position here. As you can tell, for breakthrough, you're between Bravo and Alpha, and it is perfect for camping enemies. The dynamite making light work of all of these players, Turner SMLE finishing off a couple more at the end. A really nice streak, very, very short space of time to get yourself a load of kills and completely demolish that section of the enemy team. Your team can push through, and there you go. Job is done. So how do you do it? You can see on the map here, again, we've switched back to Conquest because it's easier to find an example, and it's this section here, right in the middle between Bravo, Delta, and Charlie, and that's where you want to climb up. That little ledge there, that's the trick. Once you're on that ledge, you can make your way all the way around here, and then drop down behind the enemy team. Incredibly simple, but super, super effective. The trick is to make sure, once again, that you're not shooting enemies until you're sure that you're in the position where you want to make your flank. You've dropped your dynamite, maybe drop 1 or 2 pieces of dynamite before blowing them up. Bang, you've got them all. Job's a good one. So thanks for watching this video, a bit of a longer one, but it's taking a look at the best flanks in Battlefield. I'm hoping to see lots of top plays being sent in to my top plays show. battlefieldtopplays@gmail.com is the email to send them in. Check out Maxeek's channel down in the description. He's one of the best Battlefield players out there, definitely worth a watch. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.